We are going to start with the fans ranking and our personal ranking. At number 1, your defending champions, Union Omaha. Alex, who did they gain? Who did they lose?
Union Omaha, they lost very significantly. Pedro Dolabella and Steven Dos Santos, their top scorers. But they have brought in some fairly worthy replacements. They brought in Brent Common and to play center back. He'll be replacing Luca Mastrantonio, who moved on to AV Alta. Common has significant MLS experience. He's from Omaha, so that should be I think that should be a good addition for the team and the fans. They brought in Mahidi Orami from Chattanooga FC, who scored pull up my thing again.
I think it was 12 goals, but that's just off the dome.
Yes, scored 12 goals for Chattanooga FC last season. So he's definitely one of the big players to watch for Omaha. They retained significantly Lagos Kunga, Gomez, Ostrom, Max Schneider, Joe Gallardo. That's a huge one. He's one of the best midfielders in the league. It was along with Blake Malone, Marco Milanese, and Rashid Nuhu in goal.
Eamon, we're going to go ahead and start with you. This is a team that has been consistent since day one. Yeah. They continue to be just amazing. Even 2 years ago, when they were off to the worst start in club history, they go on to win the Players' Shield because that's what they do. But they've lost amazing players like Dolabella, like we mentioned, other players as well. Do you think that they are still the cream of the crop when it comes to League One?
So there's a couple of things when I look at that, right? So yes, they are. They for me, they've been the best team in USL League One, hands down over the last 3-4 years since whenever it was 2020 when they joined in the league. Obviously Greenville have kind of given them a run for the money in terms of that regard, but I still think Omaha are the number one team. It's just in their DNA to win. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. Between the coach, the owner, general manager, whoever it is that helps put all this team together. But it's just in their DNA to win. Obviously, they were excellent over the last couple of years. They really were. I do think, maybe statistically, John will step in maybe and say last season's championship regular season win was better than the year before, but I do think their 2023 squad, I do feel, was stronger. When we played against them in 2023, I do think it was a tougher. Look, they were excellent last year. Don't get me wrong; they're the champions. But I just felt the 2023 squad, they lost a couple of players that were massive for them. JP Skeers was one that kind of comes to mind, and Connor Doyle in the midfield. Look, last year they were phenomenal. I know you have them there at number one. I think for me they're going to be top three. I think Dom is the best coach in USL League One. As of now, I think there's some excellent coaches in USL League One, but Dom has proved that he's been the best coach for the last couple of years. I think the loss of Dolabella, when I look at them last season and coming into this season, I think Dolabella was, he was excellent. He was one of their main players. He was an absolute pest to play against when we played against him. He came up big, so many moments, so many games. I don't know, John, again, statistically, how many points did Dolabella single-handedly, score in terms of game winners or games that were tied? I don't know. Last season, I remember there was a point they started off maybe not so strong. Well, I know they won their first couple of games, but I remember when Dos Santos came back into the team. Now, I know he got injured towards the end of the season, but when he came back in, again, they almost looked like they played like a different level at times when Dos Santos was playing, and they had Dolabella as well. I think those two are going to be massive misses, and I don't know how they're going to replace them. I look at maybe playing second fiddle, if you like, to Dolabella and De Santos in terms of Zico Lewis. Rodriguez came in and he had a really good month, 2 months, I think May, June, or maybe it was April, May, I can't remember. I know we got 2 against us in the Jaegermeister Cup when we played against them, but Rodriguez came in, and Zico Lewis came in and had big moments as well. I just kind of look at them up top and I think, I don't know, Kunga's obviously, he's probably being the best, and he's going to probably hate this if he's listening to it, but the best super sub, if you like, definitely the last year. Now, look, he started games and been really good as well. I don't think Gomez is an out-and-out goal scorer. I think he's a good player. He's going to score goals. He's going to create assists. I just don't think he's that goal scorer. So, you look at the players that they brought in, can they step up? I guess we'll see. But I'm looking at their squad, the midfield, Knapp, Schneider. I think they're going to be a top 3 team for sure. They just have that winning DNA, and especially with Dom as their coach. I don't have them as an out and out front runner this year. I don't. I just think the players that I just mentioned, I just think they're too big of a miss. And I don't know how they're going to replace them. And I don't see a replacement. When I'm just looking at that right now, I don't see replacements there.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential there. But it's that those are 2 big shoes to fill.
Alex, we know that there is a big signing on the way for you, or at least I think it's a big signing on the way for Union Omaha, and that should be released sometime soon. But there are big shoes to fill here. And, I think for me, what I am looking at is, and his name scares me, Mastrotonio.
You got it. You got it.
If it's a long name, freaks me out. And, when you look at the base of that center back trio, I mean, you trust Nuhu to save anything that ends up to him, but Mastrotonio was amazing. Do we have worries in the back line too?
I think this back line, Common, he's 35, 34, 35. If he's healthy to play, he's going to be I think he'll be a big impact. And I think I have faith in Blake Malone and Marco Milanese to keep a good back line there. As far as depth, you've got Josh Ramsey and Anderson Holt, 2 much younger players. So I don't know much about if they're able to step up in there. Anybody else know much about them?
I talked to Dom at one point for a piece last season, and he couldn't have had more positive things to say about Holt in particular. Really thinks he's up to it physically, so wouldn't be surprised to see him in the minutes this season.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. So I do agree. Master Antonio, I think, was a massive player for them last year. I really do think he was a big player for them. I do think they're going to miss him. But then you can make the valid point that Kalman is a step up. He's had a fantastic career, and I'm sure he's not coming to just play it out. I'm sure he's coming to win and do well for Omaha. So, I mean, I guess that's a really good replacement. But no, again, I wouldn't personally. Again, if I'm looking at this team and I'm coaching against this team, they're solid at the back. Blake Malone, I thought was, if he can keep that consistency at times, I think he's excellent. Has all the attributes to be a top player. Nuhu, look, one of the best goalkeepers, absolutely. I just look at Schneider. I do think Max Schneider is excellent. To get him, for the whole season, I think is excellent. I don't know, in terms of that midfield depth, I do think, I don't know, Kayla, you said they might have a big signing coming along. I did hear a player that might be going there that can definitely slot into the midfield.
I think we're talking about different names here because they've got 2 big signings on the way, but.
Well, one that I'm familiar with, that I feel I was told that he's going there, and I think for me, I think he's excellent. I think he would absolutely bring that team up if he does go there. Are we, John, Kayla, are you talking about a striker that might be going there?
I've not heard of a striker, but Kayla, you feel free to.
has played striker, but more of a wider area player.
Okay. See that again, I really do worry about that forward line. I'm looking at it, as I said, Dolabella, De Santos, absolutely 10 to 15 or more goals. I just don't know who's going to get the goals there. And I think that's where they might struggle the most. I think everywhere else they are going to be solid and up there with the best teams in the league. I just think there's better frontline units in the league with different teams, and I just don't know if that's where they're going to fall down. But again, Umri, I'm going to butcher that name. The past, I looked him up. The past doesn't tell me he's an out-and-out goal scorer, but maybe he comes with trumps and gets that, because if you look at Omaha throughout the years, they've always had strikers that score goals. And that for me is the biggest worry, just looking at what they have so far.
John, before we move on to our number 2, you put out some recently about Kunga, how you think he is the best dribbler in all of the USL. But is that enough to score goals? It's going to create chances, no doubt. But can he turn that into assists or goals to really provide for a Gomez or a Quarry?
I think a lot of it is about the give and take relationship. Like, he was so good because Dos Santos was making the runs to give him space. Dolabella had that gravity coming out of the midfield, or whether he was playing in the half space, that opened up Kunga in that way. Obviously a talented player, somebody who's very good at the self-creation aspects of the game. I worry, given the state of the roster, given everything we've talked about, that maybe it allows defenses to kind of focus in on what makes him so good. But absolutely, and speaking to what Eamon said as well, like the super sub aspect, if that's how you're weaponizing him, I think that's the best way to get Lagus Kunga making an impact when it counts in matches.